Welcome back to class, everybody. I am Ethan, your host with the most.
And I am your sleepiest Professor Ricky.
Yeah, you just got off a nice little nappy nap, huh?
Yeah, and I walked in here with a vigor and a pep in my step that Ethan's like, you're on something. And what that something is well-restedness. I feel good. I feel hype.
Yeah, he out here just blowing up our spot, just coming in here and just losing his freaking gourd.
Because today we're talking about a show that
sucks ass.
Man, I wanted it to be better than it was,
Same.
but it wasn't. But before we get into that show, we want to announce the winners of our first ever giveaways. You guys had learned in the last episode, we were doing a Crunchyroll Premium giveaway. We'll be giving a 1-month premium, 3-month, and 12-month to 3 lucky Instagram commenters that commented on our Crunchyroll giveaway post. And I'm going to try to pronounce these names the best I can. I practiced beforehand. It didn't go 100% well, but we'll see.
I mean, it's like Instagram names, so you know
Instagram.
how it is.
And what we'll do is we'll DM you guys on Instagram when we announce the names now. We'll DM you in a couple days, and we'll get you that link so then you can enjoy that ad-free anime goodness. So, the 1-month winner is Argyle Lynn with an H at the end. I don't know how you pronounce that. Argyle Lynn? Lynn. Yeah, so Argyle Lynn, we will message you about you've won yourself a 1-month Crunchyroll Premium subscription. The 3-month goes to Ian1_Fox with 2 X's. Ooh,
of course.
Not
it's
3.
sexier that way.
It's sexier, but it doesn't go over the line. 3 would be, oh my goodness, but 2 is the perfect middle ground. So Ian1Fox, you've won yourself 3 months Crunchyroll Premium. And the biggie, the 12, the 1 year of Crunchyroll Premium ad-free anime goodness goes to phenomenal $11,799. Congratulations to you 3. We'll be DMing you guys and getting you those links via email as soon as we possibly can. So, first giveaway.
Yeah.
First giveaway.
Successful, I think.
What do you think we did wrong? We didn't tell them when it ended.
We didn't tell him when it ended. We didn't tell him how to enter. We didn't tell him.
We told him how to enter. We told him how to enter.
Well, there was a mixed signal somewhere along the way.
That's fine. That's cool. I'm into that. But we still let people enter, so that's cool. But yeah, we need to tell people that when it ends.
I also want to say, thank you guys so much for checking out that episode. It instantly shot up to our 2nd most listened episode.
In like a single week. And the one that it can't quite beat yet, it's been out for like 7 months.
Yeah,
like,
and it's also
great.
an absolute
thug bang.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's platinum status. So,
yeah.
But you guys did it in a week because the community is fantastic. So, to the meat of this episode, Ethan.
Yes.
What show are we talking about today?
So I want to start off by plugging our YouTube channel really fast. I did a anime in 5-minute video on BNA, which is what we're talking about today.
Brand new animal.
Basically, I kind of gave a quick little rundown and review in 5 minutes and basically told you like my rating and what I thought, whether you should watch it or not, sort of.
That video did pretty well. I think people respond to that nice little like snap, like 5 minutes. Here's our thoughts. I might jump on that bagwagon soon as I finish that Rick rant. I keep telling people I'm going to finish.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, man. We got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's in the editing process right now. I have the raws down, but what are you gonna do?
I mean, I know for you, work didn't really end because of COVID, because of the whole like remote working possibility of your like coding job.
If anything, because we're East Coast boys, and a lot of my clients are West Coast. So when it hits, I still have to show up to work at our 8 a.m. But they can schedule a meeting at like my 6:30, and like. Okay, they're my client.
You should really tell them that.
They have been told. They know now. Get it in the tight window of my 5, your 2, or earlier.
Yeah.
That's how it's got to be.
So there's actually a lot of people at my company that will have to go in for like meetings with China or something at like dumb hours, like 4 a.m. or something like that. And I really feel like there should be a little more give and take in a business relationship, in my opinion.
It does get hard, though. You want to, even if they operate in the corners of their business hours and you're on the other side of the world, so it's at the other corner of your business hours, compromise does exist.
It's not that hard.
It's not. You're right, but it's not that. It shouldn't be that hard. And yet.
All right, this is now a business podcast.
It's now a business podcast.
No, I just think a lot of people, they make more trouble for themselves than they really need to, or they give themselves these bounds. And then it'll be like a team meeting or something, and they'll be like, "Well, I can't move my team meeting." And it's like, "Yeah, you freaking can.
Yes, you freaking can. Let's work together on this." Yeah. And what burns me is that the more time we are spent out of your 9 to 5 having meetings, the less time we have to watch anime like BNA, and that makes me sad because I have a lot of shows to watch.
Yeah, we're both in the middle of Shiki right now.
Shiki is kind of fascinating. It starts out at a snail's pace. Dude, it kind of picks up. It does kind of pick up a little bit.
Baby crawling down the road. That's how slow it is.
But I can see why people in the niche of that, like kind of horror or romance fans, it's got a very gothic aesthetic to it, but that'll be a different episode. We're cooking on it right now, and I'm lukewarm on it. It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I hope something like really seriously cool happens. I like have ideas of what's gonna happen,
right?
But
they're
like theories and shit like that. But right now I'm not. I would say I'm lukewarm as well.
Yeah,
we'll definitely have to check that out. But today we are talking about BNA, brand new animal.
Man,
what's up with the title, man?
I don't know, dude. I this show, man. Every time I look at a new episode, I yearn for it to be better than it was because it's Studio Trigger. Anyone who's been in the space before, and those of you who don't know, Studio Trigger has a reputation to home grow not just the animation but the stories themselves. Kill la Kill, Darling in the Franxx, and now BNA are all homegrown stories. They're original works by Studio Trigger.
Daddy.
So that alone for me is huge in terms of a studio willing to bite off so much more than I think they can possibly chew. Because if you look at Darling in the Franxx, if you look at Kill la Kill is probably the highest rated of these 3 big shows that they put out.
Well, they did Promare as well, which is...
Oh, they did they?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So, I mean, like, this is one of those few studios that aren't doing adaptations. They are doing homegrown stories.
Little Witch Academia, which was really solid.
Oh, yeah, the Little Witch was good. I found that to be very wholesome and very nice. Yeah, I mean, brand new animal, BNA. It is a story that if you've seen any of the art or the PR stuff for it, I've never watched the show. Yes, it's another furry show in the same vein of Beastars. It's about anthropomorphized animals at its core. And where we kind of start at the beginning is a kind of an interesting place, but it's like beating a dead horse, which actually I think that exact thing happens in this show. Beating a dead horse. So this girl, Michiru, is basically trying to find her way into Anima City. Sorry, excuse me. And basically, it's a city for beastmen. People with the ability to transform into animals to live freely and govern kind of in a self-isolated system. Would you say that setting actually is kind of intriguing just from the face value?
No.
Why is that?
It's been done like a billion times.
Thank you very much. It is.
So this show is like extremely reductive.
Yes, it really is.
And I'm going to be honest.
Hit me.
They throw you in really fast.
And they
basically are like, Michiru is actually a normal girl, but now she's now she's an
tanuki.
Animal. Yeah, tanuki animal.
Yes.
And they straight up don't explain what happened to her the entire time, really.
Until the very near end.
And even still they gloss over it. So it's like to me something that should really be the crux of the show.
Right. Is the mystery that they propose to you at the beginning.
Right. Ends up being not important whatsoever.
They answer with a throwaway line to do something that made me really upset when I saw it. I saw it early. I think anyone who watched the show may have saw it early. It like so many other anthropomorphized animal stories fell into prejudice as the overtone immediately. Zootopia, Beastars, Prey versus Predator, Human versus Animals, Carnivores versus Herbivores. These are so overused overtones of storylines in settings where animals talk like humans that I'm just, the second it came on screen, I was hoping for something different. Right.
Yeah, I think we should like leave that on the back burner for a minute. Because I think
I had to get a lot.
I have a lot of shit to say about it.
Okay,
like that specifically. And as well as in the last episode, they throw this whole new aspect that they did not make a single mention of previous to this.
Again, yeah, throwaway line. They had one
like,
throwaway line in like episode like 8. And then it's just
no, 12. Literally the last episode, they start something that literally had nothing to do with the rest of the show. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. Okay.
But basically, she all of a sudden is now a tanuki.
Yes.
And she doesn't know how to switch back to being human.
Yeah, and in this society, staying in your beastman form can be a weird kind of social construct. Like, why is she always transformed? That's weird. Even people that she goes and encounters, they say the fact that you walked up to me in your beastman form means you want to fight. Means you want to pick a fight with me or our group. So she kind of gets into some bad situations because she doesn't know how to change back. So it isn't like, oh, furries everywhere, run around and be your true animal selves. No, I did respect that the city itself had like, we're still humans. We're still trying to be civil.
I thought that was kind of a weird aspect personally. Like, why would you create an animal city and then have everyone look like humans the whole time?
I think that was the whole...
It was a little counterintuitive to what I felt like the point was, which was like be yourself kind of thing.
That's a good point.
I think, so like why literally all of them were walking around as humans, and except for the one time when there was that big festival, they all were in their beastman
That was like
form.
Yeah, that was like the point, right?
But like to me, they were trying to sort of integrate with humanity at certain points and whatever, and also have their separate place. And so if you're having your separate place, why do you care to look like a human?
That's a good point. Because, I mean, the Anima City was a city that was allowed by the Prime Minister to give beastmen a place to go and prosper kind of by themselves. It was a very tenuous relationship between humanity and beastmen, because there's a lot... That was the part I was trying to bring up, is that from like the first couple minutes, they they just like ham fist into your face that humans hate beastmen. They hate them. How dare you? There was no nuance. There was no kind of... It was a really very much an us versus them cultural setting. And again, it just felt so overused. It felt so dry. I'm like, of course this would be it. What other thing would you do? It's easy. There's no... Not that there wasn't thought, but it's just so easy to just fall back on that. And I was hoping for something fresh. Not really found here. You're not going to get something new when it comes to furries and shows.
Like I guess I'm a little worried about the direction that anime is kind of going with a lot of this like prejudice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people use anime as like an escape from realism, right?
Yeah.
And so to be like constantly confronted with like, oh, we're all different and we all hate each other. I don't know if that's really the direction I'm hoping that more shows go.
And
I think it'd be cool to see more shows where they like overcome it, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
there doesn't seem to be a lot of that, especially like
you're right.
Beastars specifically, and then BNA. There was no real resolution toward like prejudice is bad.
Yeah, at least I like the way Beastars kind of handled some. It was a little less, and it was much more human the way that they handled the whole carnivorous versus herbivore, prey and predator thing. But like we said in that episode, you could tell just as a compelling story without using anthropomorphized animals and Beastars. You can have humans and still tell that story beat for beat. This show
needed to have some like weird transformation.
This show had two big knocks against it, and one of them actually was something you just brought up, was that why is anime kind of having these prejudice, real-world tie-in premises into their shows? It's meant to be a little bit of an escapist fantasy for a lot of people who watch it and enjoy it. However, this is not an adaptation, remember. This was homegrown at Studio Trigger. They could have gone in any direction. They had complete creative freedom, and yet they threw in this prejudice overtone. They don't get the blessing of, oh, we're just adapting what a manga already wrote, right? We did this. We homegrew this story. And for 2020, really, though? It's like you said, we really need that right now?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I did, like, obviously, like I said, I don't know if it's really the direction that I was hoping they would go. But, like, this space has been fairly, like, saturated with, like, these like, turning into a animal kind of shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe they just felt like, you know, trying to make something they felt was like a little bit different.
So you think they wanted to hook into the new trend of that? They maybe even saw Beastars in development, or it's just like, let's try to do something like that, or where are you trying to go with that?
I don't know. Like,
right. Okay.
I'll be honest, I don't really know what their plan was with this show, and like specifically at the end, the last couple episodes, I'll mention what I mean. I don't want to do it now just because I don't want to do spoilers till like after maybe 20-25 minutes.
Sure.
But can we talk about some good things before we just end up shitting on it for 30 minutes?
Absolutely. I think we need to talk about, there's a couple really big highlights in this show. The visuals and the music. Damn. Like,
for sure.
Like, watching this show, it's got a lot of neons, pinks, and blues. It's like you're watching a lo-fi hip-hop stream on YouTube's visuals come to life in a show. It looks like you can just do a loop of the cityscape and you'd have a great visual for like a lo-fi hip-hop channel.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
And it looks great. It's very stylized. They have that special sauce that Trigger does with their animations. It's fluid. It's stylized. It's not super on model all the time, and they're willing to get weird proportions and camera angles. And the music. I felt the music was quite good.
Yeah, I mean, it was very, like, obviously 80s nostalgic.
Yeah.
Felt extremely, like, Stranger Things at a few points.
That's a good, the music definitely got some Stranger Things.
I literally was getting, like, the 80s mall vibe, if
like
that makes any sense.
Some synthwave shit, like low synthwave. So, yeah, and the way they use music is very on point, situational. I mean, that grabbed me more than the story did, was the visuals and the music.
Absolutely. I got a controversial kind of thought, though.
Ooh, hit me with that.
Hit me with that. Art style / animation. So to me, it felt much more like a Western animation than it did a Japanese animation.
It did. And do you think that was done on purpose to fit the aesthetic that it was going for? I have no
effing clue.
I think it might have been a little bit on purpose. Like, it didn't have...
It literally had Batman Beyond vibes.
Yeah, because maybe it was just more frames and some of the fights. But Batman Beyond for sure. The one thing I will say that I really respected of this show, it's really easy to do what Beastars did. Have a bunny stripped down to her lingerie and kind of go over-sexualized on the whole anthropomorphized animal thing. I didn't feel like this show had any fan service whatsoever.
Yeah, which
very, very clean.
Big ups for sure, because I'm getting really freaking tired of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
when it's just like out of nowhere, naked animal. It's just like, yay,
thank God. I mean, again, I think I might have mentioned it on Anime Composts and Weebology's collab episode that we did with them. You should go check that out. That fan service has a time and place. I think maybe it was on the Anime Soul thing where we brought up a Fire Force just kind of shoved it down your throat. It had no time and place. Fan service does have a time and place. This show realized that that ain't it, Chief. Like, right here is not the time. This show is not it. And I don't think they ever had fan service in the entire show.
Yeah, it definitely felt like more sterile, if that makes sense.
It did.
Like, there was very few, like, what I would consider PG-13 or R-rated themes, like, really at all.
Yeah.
In fact, there was, like, essentially no love interest in the entire show.
Yeah, even the main two characters, which we'll start talking about the characters in a second, Michiru and Shirou, like, the two main individuals, thank God didn't have one, because, like, one is...
They just, like, kind of remained friends the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is super freaking rare for an anime, and rare for, honestly, media in general.
Right. There was no love interest. You're going into this. This is one of those things that I think if you shut your brain off, the show lets you do it. You're allowed to shut your brain off here. The mystery, not that crazy complicated. You have maybe a twist or a turn here or there. You're not going to have your tits blown back or anything, but it'll keep you going. But you have really engaging characters. Michiru is really endearing. She's the Tanuki girl who, are we doing spoilers yet? We kind of show her whole power set, or are we there yet?
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. So we have Michiru, who is the Tanuki girl who is basically trying to uncover the mystery of why she became one in the first place, and meets Shirou, who is kind of a white wolf dude who is ungodly powerful. And I mean, like, legit supernatural powerful.
Yeah, he just kind of seems like, at least the way we meet him, is he's like this kind of protector of Anima City.
Yeah.
With no real like official post or anything like that. I gotta be honest, like from a character standpoint,
I think I know what you're about to say.
They were all bland as shit, except for Michiru.
And I think Shirou being bland is the only one who could pass from a narrative standpoint. He was just the sounding board for her. Like, literally, he was just bland, so she could just throw her opinions. She got angry with him. He never got angry with her. She got sad at him. He never got sad at her. He was just like
I'm sad at you.
I am just sad of you. How dare you speak to me in this way? But she would go off on him, and he would just be like the sounding board, and that will allow her to develop personally. So he gets maybe a pass. He was cool enough to watch on screen where I'd be okay with that. Everyone else, bland as shit.
Well, like, so his backstory and everything does make sense for why he's so bland.
Yeah.
And, like, we can talk about that when we get into it, but all the rest of the characters honestly sucked, except for her team that she plays baseball
The Bears?
with, the little Bears.
And
specifically the Johnny or Jackie.
Jackie, yeah, the one who doesn't know how to use money and then tries to come up with get-rich-quick schemes.
Yeah, that kid is freaking hilarious.
At some point, this kid will go on to buy a water purifier so that they can take the slum water that's full of trash and sell it as mineral-ish water, or mineral-esque.
Yeah.
Mineral-esque water. That shit was funny. That was really funny. What is it with... Is it kind of like a staple of anime to always have a baseball episode?
I don't think it's a staple of anime, but certainly that seems to be recent. You know, Dorohedoro and also this show.
It's either baseball, beach, or like festival episode. These are the ones you got.
Yeah, there's always a festival episode.
There's always one of those three at least in every show. But yeah, what I keep trying to go back about why the story felt so bland. I wanted to get past the fact that it was animals and prejudice and blah,
I think
blah,
it was
blah.
made for fucking 5-year-olds, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was like really, really dumb.
It was made for kids. That's what I'm starting to realize. It's all PG as hell.
Until the very last episode.
Very last episode, they got really left field with it. And
yeah.
That's what I think you were kind of bringing up is this story seemed like it had a lack of focus. The stuff we wanted to care about, why is she a tanuki? Who are the people involved in this mystery? And they kind of like have throwaway lines to answer the things that we wanted to see as audience members, but then they went on and told their own story from like 9 onward, and you're like, what just happened here? And it's just so much gaslighting, and I felt like I was getting gaslighted from like Alan's bullshit. I don't know, there's something. Why was it so boring? Why was it so boring? Because visually it was so striking, and
I think it's because of the like absolute lack of a dynamic cast whatsoever.
Yeah.
Even the bad guy, you knew was the bad guy from the start, and you didn't give a shit about it.
Do you feel that this telegraphing is something that's the writer's fault, or just we've finally seen enough anime to know even like meta tropes? Do you think?
No, I mean,
we're not the only. Are you saying like
I could have not watched any anime and I still would have figured this out?
Okay,
I'm a super genius over here.
Jesus Christ!
It really,
starting with me today. You're lucky.
Honestly, I could have written this show in a much better way.
That's the one thing, yeah. Because I mean, how would you have rewritten it? I know the one thing I would change, but if you were to have rewritten this, maybe it might be a little spoilery. But what was the part that was just like, this is bullshit? Like, why did they
make the mystery about why she got transformed or that kind of thing, and what the fuck was going on with her insane power set?
Yeah, they never actually really satisfyingly answer her power set, right?
It also would have been cool if it was like a changing of the guard where, Shirou ends up not being able to protect people anymore for some reason.
Or finally, after 1,000 years, feels confident to leave it in her hands. It's not even he
kind of like a Batman and Robin type situation where she can be Robin and kind of like take on the mantle.
Right. And she just decided to, at the end, be this beastman now because that's what she is, but there never felt like any sense of duty to do so. And the entire show, she's been told.
Well, I think she did find that she like really respected all these people. She likes the area, all this stuff. The thing that's dumb as shit and anime needs to get this through their freaking noggins. You cannot say like this schoolgirl is now living in a different, city, and she doesn't give a shit about her previous life.
Because
you see her on her phone at one point looking at her mom saying like, my daughter would have been...
That was a powerful scene.
16 years old or something like that today.
She's looking on what equivalent is Instagram, and...
She's like about to like it and doesn't.
That's... Okay, like I said, that's a nice scene, but you're right. Why did she all of a sudden, after 10 or 11 episodes, being confident, I'm going to go back to my previous life at some point? And then suddenly she's like, well, okay, I can go full hog into this whole beast.
Like, fuck my family.
Fuck my family, yes. I'm like, you kind of wrote off some of the stuff that actually could have been really compelling if you kind of stretched it out, but they wrote it off because they wanted to tell their story. And they had such
imagine if she actually goes back to her real world, because like obviously that's what you want from this story.
Yeah.
Wait, just let me finish.
Okay, I'm just saying.
She goes back, and now she has to fight with herself between which of the two places needs her more, or which of the places feels more like home. Because remember this girl, her friend, whatever her freaking name is.
Nazuma.
Yeah. Nazuma. Turns out that she's going to stay in the beast land and become an idol, because that's what she really always has wanted to do. And she wasn't getting any traction in Japan. And now that she's in Anima City, she's like literally becoming a celebrity. And so imagine at the end of this, instead of the weird shit we got, or the like just dead drop off we got, that she would have to decide, or she goes back and sees her parents and they're like, oh my God, we thought you were dead, all this stuff.
Right.
Because like, what are they doing? Are they not looking for their daughter?
That's the one thing that I think that the whole human beastman prejudice dynamic allows for, is a really easy write-off reason why they wouldn't go look for her, is because she was forced to stay in her room because everyone found out, or they didn't want everyone finding out that their daughter was a beastman. Ugh. A beastman. Because all these humans hated beastmen for whatever fucking reason. They never gave a really good reason why this prejudice exists, which is probably talking about the whole topical bullshit that anime's on lately. But they not looking for her is kind of like, this is a convenient tragedy. Like, I don't have, like, oh, she disappeared and no one has to know the real truth that she was a beastman. They're just like, okay, that's...
I don't think that at all makes any sense, because she did not start off as a beastman. So it could have been like, yo, this is like a bad thing that could be happening right now, where somehow humans are being turned into beastmen.
Exactly.
Right. But then even after the story, when she does know how to turn it on and back off and all this stuff, why the hell can't she just go home?
Yeah.
And literally live both lives? There's no reason.
When you watch kind of fantasy or almost supernatural stories of, anime or non-anime alike, you are given as a writer some, maybe even just a couple at most, of, okay, I have to accept this is part of the world. There were too many of those here. Yes, I have to accept that prejudice exists between human and beastmen without ever asking why. Yes, I have to accept that there are different levels of beastmen, I guess. I have to accept that this disease exists. There are so many things I had to just write off and be okay with, because the show made me want to, like, you have to write this off. We're not going to explain it. We have one track. We have one track of a plot for you. Yeah. Anything else doesn't get to be touched on. And you have to be okay with that.
It definitely did feel like we were on rails, and that there was no real, like, point in speculating on anything, because they're not going to answer a single freaking thing that you care about. They're only going to answer the story they want to answer.
Exactly.
But also, do you think a season 2 could even happen?
No.
Like, what are they smoking?
They can't have a season 2. Like, that's the one thing, is the only way they can do it is if you have almost a time skip scenario. Michiru's been there for now 6 months after the first things happen, and then some brand new organic terrorist movement comes up, and now her and Shirou have to go do their thing again. At best, it's a rehashing of season 1, which already we're saying is lackluster at best. So, could you have a second season? Yes. Is it going to be any good? No. It's going to be just as mediocre as this storyline was, or worse. But it's Studio Trigger, and they got mad cash, and I'm like I said, if you want to shut your brain off, it's a fun ride. That's what we're kind of saying. It's a rail system. You're on a ride, and if that allows you to shut your brain off and just be like, lo-fi shit, this is cool.
Well, because like I think they really did hope that the pretty art and the music was gonna carry it, and it carried it to what I believe the score was. But beyond that, it really showed you the gaps in the show, because like literally the only reason you're watching is because of this cool like lo-fi atmosphere.
What a cross to bear for the entire 12 episodes, though, right? Like, yes, the visuals
totally
carried.
Agree. I struggled so hard to finish this thing.
And the only thing that got me there was, okay, at least it's pretty to look at. It's cool to the ears.
The only thing that got me there was the fact that I was doing a anime in 5 minutes about it. So I needed to know everything about it.
That's fair. But yeah, okay. So
we're about 31 minutes in.
Spoiler
So we're going to go ahead and just jump into spoilers and, shit we really didn't like about it. But if you all have not seen it, go check it out. It's on Netflix. Pretty easy to watch.
Yeah, I will say, for the seasoned anime fan, you will notice a lot of issues. For someone who's new to the space, or someone who loves Studio Trigger's special visual sauce, you will have a good time. Like I said,
do you think this was a girl show?
Yes. I think now that you mention it, because of the dynamic between Nazuma and Michiru, and it's very centered around a lot of like young grade school girls. The dolphin girl.
Well, I'm just wondering if, we can't really relate to the main character much because she is like, a high school, middle school girl.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's just why we like, but that can't be true because I actually liked her and I didn't really like anyone else in the show.
That was one thing you just said, like of everyone that you cared about, she was the most interesting. They really put the story on her shoulders. And that was upsetting to me that the only thing Shirou got, which I thought was such a badass design, badass character to watch, he felt like the one thing, now that we're in spoiler town, warnings, there is a creature of lore amongst beastmen called the Silver Wolf. And they've basically called this entity a protector of beastmen of all kinds for at least 1,000 years or more. And the second you hear that and then you see Shirou, you're like,
Obviously him.
Obviously him.
Thank God that you also agree.
Yeah.
Like, I was going to say, you'd have to be an absolute dumbass to not realize, oh, he's the Silver Wolf.
He's literally a Silver Wolf.
Yeah, it's like actually an embarrassment. I would be embarrassed if I were them.
So from a writing perspective, the only way they used the Silver Wolf in an interesting way was Nazuma. What? Wolf?
He said wolf.
The Silver Wolf. The Silver Wolf was being impersonated by Nazuma, who had a similar power set to Michiru.
Which basically means they can do literally whatever they want with any animal like ability.
Right, because beastmen...
Which makes no fucking sense.
Thank you. So beastmen can transform from their human form to whatever their... It's literally called beast deoxyribonucleic acid. So beast DNA. Could they think of a more interesting name, please? For the love of God.
They could have done a lot to make this like an actually interesting show.
I know. But
like all the genetic stuff was like kind of dumb.
Ooh, total side tangent. This show had one of the worst OPs in terms of translating the entire story to the audience. OPs that are smart will have visuals that will allude to the entire season, but never actually give you the full picture. I was talking with RoboPat, and he said, I was on episode 3 a while back, and he's like, what do you think the story's about? I said, just from the first 3 and from the opening's visuals, nailed every bit by bit. Genetics, that she can transform into different animal stuff and everything, and because it's all laid out in front of you in the OP. That being said, every beastman has the ability to go from human to their individual beastman form. However, for some unknown reason, Michiru can do any animal part, cheetah legs, wings, gorilla arms. She's animal OP. She's a beast OP.
She's literally Beastman from Teen Titans. Sorry, Beast Boy.
He's probably Beastman by now. It's been a number of years. He's a grown ass man.
He's probably grown up.
But you're right. You're 100% right. She is Beast Boy from Teen Titans. Plain and simple.
Which like is okay.
That's it's a natural. That's cool. I mean,
and I guess I don't hate that they didn't shy or that they didn't shy away from like different species of animals getting together and making children. The problem is it starts getting really muddy when you do shit like that Because then it doesn't really make a lot of fucking sense what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, didn't they say that, like, if two beastmen of different species mate, it'll be, like, a 100% genetic shift from one side to the other? There won't be a blending. You're either going to come out like your ma or your pa. That's it. There is no middle ground, which would have made the story way more interesting in terms of world building if you can have a weird mesh of the two, right?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Cool. I think so. I'm just going to jump into like the worst part about this thing.
Go for it, dude.
Which is in the final 2 episodes, the bad guy, Alan Silva or something? Sylvanus?
Sylvester.
I thought it was Sylvanus. Anyway.
Sylvester Stallone.
He basically starts like this entire new plot line of like pure blood versus half blood.
Boom. Yeah.
Out of fucking nowhere. Never once mentioned until episode 11, like the very end of episode 11.
Right.
And then that's all episode 12 was about.
Pure-blooded beastmen.
Like pure blood versus half blood.
The ones that...
And I think if they had mentioned that or had that as being an aspect of the show from the beginning, the show could have been a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Because you would have had, these weird meshes of animals, maybe like literally a frog man with cheetah cheetah spots or
imagine
something
having
like
cheetah
that.
legs on a frog body. Imagine kind of jumping with
basically
that.
like a chimera ant type situation.
So fucking cool. That'd have been awesome. They do that a couple times, dude. Back to the Silver Wolf. They never explained the fucking origins of the Silver Wolf outside of what happened, right? It was an entire wolf society that was massacred, and all of their spirits or power went into one individual.
So basically, the way I understood it was...
how'd you figure that?
On this battlefield, Shirou had gotten knocked out or something like that.
Yeah.
And for however this would happen, like all the blood basically like dripped down into him.
And he just like a sponge.
Essentially, like he somehow created this like weird power.
Yeah.
And it's similar to like, I think in a lot of different shows and lore, maybe not even anime related, but like you could basically combine a lot of these souls and make yourself stronger. I think like demonology and stuff like that
like
does
a
a lot of...
Philosopher's Stone from FMA a little bit, because you put a lot of stones into a nexus of power.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of shows and like demonology and stuff like that where you could like combine a bunch of demons or a soul eater is a perfect example.
Hell, putting all that inside of your weapon.
Like witch souls or witch hearts.
Yeah.
And create, a death scythe.
So do you feel, what I mean? Do you feel like the lack of that explanation kind of leans on maybe a lore that we're not extremely well versed in? So everyone was, Japanese audiences might have been more like, oh yeah, that makes sense from... Right? But that's the thing, right? Is even if you had...
I think this was one of the sloppiest stories I've ever watched.
I don't think
Which is like really sad.
It wasn't sloppy. And I guess
it was sloppy as fuck.
It was just so down the middle.
Simplistic, I guess.
They didn't take any risks there. Studio Trigger basically kind of resigned themselves to writing a good plot in-house. And they're like, what you said, we're going to make it flashy and the music insane and blah, 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 blah. And this will carry the show. Arguably, it did. It was top 10 on Netflix for at least a week. It was like low, but it was there. I don't know, man. Like,
well, it's like weird. It's like a weird departure for me for what Trigger normally does. Like, Darling in the Franxx was wild.
It was wild. And Kill la Kill was
wild.
It was wild. It was such an interesting, fresh story. And I think that's the double-edged sword of...
And no fan service in BNA, but an absolute ass ton in the other two shows.
Yeah. So I think that's funny, man. Like, it's a double-edged sword kind of cooking something up in a house like that. If you're not doing a already well-established and celebrated manga adaptation, which the story's already there. You have the fan base. Cooking it up in-house, if you do it right, you kind of are a mainstay in the anime classics. If you do it wrong, there is no backup. It wasn't, the mangaka had the shit story. No, you guys did that. I don't know how else to tell you that, and it's sorry to say, but shit, I don't know.
That's a good point. Hey, so what did you think about the title?
You keep bringing up the title. Tell me where are you trying to go with the title?
Why fucking call it BNA?
Because she's a brand new animal.
Call it Brand New Animal then.
I guess, I don't know. Maybe they just know that, shows in anime are kind of getting abbreviated.
That's literally what I'm trying to ask you is like, are they literally like playing like extra meta and they're like saying, people say
Or anime woke. We get the community. We know you're gonna breathe it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like something like that. Like danmachi is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Right.
The Japanese words and combined really like crazily.
Konosuba. Do you know that's not that's Kona something something Suba. And I don't know the full title name, but everyone knows it as Konosuba. So I think they just got a little too overwoke. And they were like,
I'm almost wondering if that's like the actual problem here is they got like crazy woke for some reason, because literally every entry that they've had before is a wild fucking ride, and there's a lot of like
fascinating.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they are trying. They went.
They departed from what they actually do.
Yes, they went such a safe bet. This is all a safe, no fan service, easy to digest plot.
Yes.
Very easy visuals. This is the top 40 of anime. This is not your classic pick. This is not your timeless
I would put this
ballad.
in the top 100
max. No. It's trying to appeal to too many individuals.
Oh yeah,
the top 40, right? It's that hit that'll get on the radio for sure, but you're gonna forget that song in like a couple months, right? It's just gonna be lost to time. Or Kill la Kill. Yeah, it was very extreme, so much fan service, and the plot it's psychopath, but I remember every beat of that. I love that show. And I think a lot of anime fans love that show as well.
You love that show?
Mm-hmm. See? The way they did, they baked fan service. They baked fan service into that plot so well that you can't tell that story without fan service, for better or worse.
Yeah,
but
snoozer, in my opinion.
You weren't a fan, Kill la Kill?
I think it's a joke to basically say the least clothes they're wearing, the stronger they are.
They gotta sell them figs. They gotta sell those figs,
what
buddy.
A joke.
Gotta make that sweet figurine cash for sure.
So what do you think of like the different wars basically in this show that they like alluded to but never really mentioned like fully? So not only like the original battle at Nervasil,
yeah,
but also the like ones more recently, like over I forget what the freaking force they called it, but it was like a beastman army essentially against
was that the one that happened like right before Anima City was founded?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
I thought there was a lot they could have done with that.
Yeah, you know what else I liked too that was maybe less broadcasted was the fight between the eagle and bird beastmen about their migration patterns.
Yeah.
Because now that they have human rights, they can't cross into borders like they used to, and a lot of the terrorist friends got shot down for trying to migrate. The beast side of them is now subjected to the human side. Again, little nuggets of these really great historical wars. What's it like to be an actual beast in a human world with those rights, and what restrictions that could have for your people. That's cool. But again, that's not the story they wanted to tell.
I feel like, I'll be honest, I think they diluted their own story by giving them the ability to change into a human whenever they wanted. Because then I think it leaves the audience kind of scratching their head as to like, okay, you're a albatross migratory bird, but you're also a human, so who gives a fuck about your migration patterns, dum-dum?
That's the thing. We're beastmen at heart, and we feel this in our bones and our blood, and like, but yeah, but you can also become a human, take your migration, turn into a beastman. You don't have to fly, you just have to go mate. Like, you don't have to do the flight pattern, you just go take a plane, or you just go like a person. What you said's interesting. I'm just saying that.
There's not really like I don't know what kind of instincts they're really fighting here, is what I'm trying to say. If you can also turn into a human. What they did not explain like kind of the I guess scale of how you even, what instincts are you fighting? Are you like basically 100% albatross, but you just have the ability to turn into a human?
Yeah, what direction?
Right.
What are you really?
They really could have done something with that. It would have been kind of interesting.
Yeah, man, like I think now that I'm starting scheming on the idea that the fact that they can turn into humans at any time at all means that they could probably live effectively normal human lives. But
nobody would ever know.
No one would ever know. And I guess they tried to bank on, but this is our beastman pride. I wouldn't be able to live my identity. Blah, blah, blah.
Why are y'all all walking around like humans all the time?
There it is. Why in the city that you should allow that? to express your identity. If you walk around in your beastman form during the day, you saw it in the show. They got weird looks, super weird looks. And it's like, wait, why is there still prejudice amongst beastmen for being beastmen? What the fuck? I don't get it. They just didn't explain, man. They just had so many good little nuggets, and that's maybe partly why we both were like, man, this should have been at least a banger. A silver banger, if nothing else.
Yeah, so Shirou, invincible, immortal.
Yes.
Okay. But I did I don't know if I like this or not, but I'm gonna mention it anyway.
Okay.
His collar. His power restricting collar.
Let's talk about that.
It felt like Kenpachi with his eye patch.
Yeah, right? Like, and they never explain why. Did they ever explain why the collar is the restrictor? Was it built for him? Does he just use it as a symbolic restriction?
I don't fucking... They didn't explain that. They just said this is what it does.
It kept that little white patch hidden.
Oh, yeah.
That was maybe the only thing, but then he could have used anything. A bandana or something. Could it really had to have been so on the nose that the dog had to wear a collar? Really?
It also seems like it would kind of like be more of like a prejudicial thing to have a dog beastman wearing a collar.
Yeah,
doesn't that feel? It feels really like on the nose to me of like he's chained to his past.
Yes, right. He's
held
restricting
down
himself for the safety of beastmen, and he's the real Silver Wolf. But the only thing I like about the Silver Wolf in as a concept, this entire thing, I did like the idea of a religious movement using someone with the power set like Michiru and Nazuma to fake the Silver Wolf, to give hope to beastmen. Did she do it out of truly altruistic purposes? No, she's selfish and she likes attention, so she wants to become essentially an idol level of popularity status. But I think the idea was in the right place. And
it was
interesting.
Just so telegraphed though that dude was a bad guy, the Boris guy.
Yeah.
Even though his power was sick as fuck.
What was his animal
he was
thing again?
A snake boy, but he could shoot like 1,000 snakes out of his hand.
Oh, you mean this?
He was straight up Orochimaru.
Yeah, so the sneaky, conniving dude turns out to be a snake? Come on.
Yeah, but he was the first guy other than Michiru and Nazuma that had a power where he could do like really weird non-animal things.
And that was natural, right? He didn't...
I don't know.
Right, they never go deeper. He maybe was born with Orochimaru powers, essentially, which, okay. Another thing, put it on the list of things we have to accept for the show to work. Whatever. But yeah, I don't think season 2 could ever catch up the level of unanswered questions that they left.
I actually hope they don't do a season 2.
You know they will, though, right?
I think they will because it was fairly successful for some reason.
The aesthetic. It's one of those things, guys, like if you're new to the space and you're not going to like meta-analyze this, even veterans who just want to like watch something, turn your brain off, have some popcorn and a beer, I don't know, it's just, this is so easy to turn your brain off to and not ask these questions that you will enjoy this show. It's the opposite of Kagister that we talked about a couple episodes ago. That show made you have your brain flipped on.
Yeah,
this
Asigner
of an insect ass. But no, this one, you can shut your brain off, keep your hands and arms inside the ride at all times, and have fun. Just watch. You won't be disappointed, but don't think too hard. Essentially.
Yeah, I think I rated it like a 65 or something like that.
I was actually going to say about 68, 69. I don't think it was better than Kagister. I don't think it was better.
I actually am like considering going even lower.
Interesting.
69 I think is really high for this.
I'm an animation sucker. I will give it marks for good animation. The music also kind of gave it a couple extra points. It could never go higher than 70 in my brain. It just couldn't. Even if you loved the characters, which they were okay. I don't know.
Which I guess tell us why you liked them, because I am having a hard effing time figuring out why anyone would like these characters.
Like I said, Michiru, I liked.
No, not you. I'm saying if somebody liked them, tell us why.
I'm gonna go on a diatribe now. I'm just kidding. But I kind of like the mayor, kind of.
Couldn't care less.
Barbary and yeah.
I was.
What animal was she? By the way,
I think she was a naked mole rat.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I think she was a naked mole rat.
No, but you know what kind of bullshit is this? So she's the prime minister, but she also happened to be the first beastman to ever get a PhD in genetics.
Do you think that was an institutional injustice, that there's not a lot of beastman opportunities up to that point, I guess.
I don't fucking know.
Dude, they're
Who
the
gives
ones
a shit?
They're the ones who are bringing this topical kind of prejudice thing into our brain spaces. We have to maybe consider it from their world.
Maybe it's the beastman's environment that's keeping them down.
Oh my god, maybe the institution's broken. Fuck. But they had an entire decade to build a city. You would think that there'd be some kind of doctorate program in the city, right?
Dude, it was such a small portion of the show and such an unnecessary throwaway. In my opinion, they don't mention it at all. And we all just assume it's a normal, like, there's colleges and shit like that.
Right.
So one last thing I kind of want to go into. We're about 51 minutes in.
Ooh, okay.
I want to talk about the Nervacil disease.
Let's talk about that.
So
Interesting.
I believe Iruma-kun, Welcome to Demon School, did this much better.
And did you get that idea when they said they're going to have a show, like an idol show? That's where I got that same idea.
Well, that was obviously an exact...
Right.
You know, like, they clearly, like, looked at the show and thought about it, in my opinion.
Yes.
But, like, you know, basically the idea is if you put too many animals and different species in a small area, their animal instincts eventually will freak out. And basically, since they're not kind of spread out in their own territories, they all just kind of, like, go beast mode and start trying to, like, kill everything.
Right.
Which I think would be reasonable if they had mentioned, like, the instinct part of this being a really big deal.
Wasn't, but I thought, again, spoilers, but I thought that
we're 52 minutes in.
Spoilers, baby. We're deep in the
shit.
heart of Spoiler City. But I thought that excuse, that syndrome was an excuse came up with by Alan to justify his beast DNA destabilization thing. Because didn't they have that throwaway where it's like the destabilization of beast DNA is complete and they let loose the rhino guy and the horse guy and they caught this disease that they had generated, right? Because they already did that by giving the disease, the beastman disease, to Michiru and Nazuma by transitive properties. I thought that was a throwaway. I thought that was a lie. The whole syndrome thing. So did I misinterpret that? And that is actually something that can truly happen to beastmen naturally if they all are crammed into a city together. That happens in New York City with humans, by the way. They just become
assholes.
Jaded assholes. Nothing against the New York City folk. I've been there enough to know. But
no, I don't know. I don't know, and I don't know that I really care. I'm just going to go under the assumption that was something that could actually happen.
So it's something that can actually happen. Let's go with that.
But you know, they basically were like, well, we're going to throw this concert to basically help them blow off steam. And that's literally like
shot for shot.
Literally a mirror image of what they did in Aruma, which is basically like demons. If they're down there and, you know, not blowing off steam, essentially.
Right.
They're all going to freak out and go like biblical demon style.
I think where Iruma-kun did it better is that it was well established that this was already a thing in demons' nature, in their makeup, just to be that biblical demon, chaotic, whereas that was never established at all for any of these beastmen, where they just out of nowhere, they're like, oh, this syndrome exists, and I guess now that we've had a city for 10 years, it's now suddenly going to pour over conveniently when Michiru's in the picture. So, yeah, it felt shoehorned. So I stand by my say 68. 68 is where I'm going to land it. It gets marks for visual and music. The plot's not going to treat you nice. It's not very... And
the characters they suck so bad. Like, Marie was constantly in this show.
I kind of like Marie.
Yeah, but she meant nothing to the plot at all.
But she was cool. Like, she was a schemer and she was a weasel.
Yeah,
sorry, mink,
I like scammers as much as the next guy.
Yeah,
but
right.
Like, what's the point?
What is the point? Yeah, I mean...
I think the only character I liked other than Michiru, and that's like, was Jackie, because he was just funny as shit.
Jackie's pretty funny. Yeah, that whole bear baseball team was fucking hysterical. But I think to put it in the words, like in just in a sentence, every other character besides Michiru was there only to serve as her kind of sounding boards, just to paddle her along in her growth. They were there when they needed to be there. Marie was there to pick her up. Shirou was there to save her and help her become a beastman. The mayor was there just to figure out what the hell's going on with her. Right? They were all just there. And that's why Michiru felt so, or the only one to feel interesting in my mind, because...
Well, she had emotion, too.
Right. She was the only one to seem to be reacting to the world around her, and that's it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll let it sit at like a 63.
But yeah, it's not the best show in the world, but if like we said before, if you want something to turn your brain off to, the show makes it real easy. You'll have a good time. The music is good. The visuals are good. Just don't expect a really heavy plot or characters that are going to blow your brain off. Whatever. Grab a beer, get some popcorn, just turn your brain off and watch the eye candy, because it really is eye candy. So do a trigger.
Or grab some water.
Or hydro homies. Get yourself out there and hydrate. Yes. But yeah, I think honestly that's it. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Hey, YouTube gang, we're back on the video game. The Anime Soul one was not filmed, so we'll be back on our video.
Well,
BS.
I actually do have a video of it.
Do you really?
The problem is, it's that the chat with everyone talking.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So, I don't. We're not gonna basically dox everybody. Be like, this guy was talking shit.
I was talking shit. Find him. No, but yeah, maybe somebody will release that one, but. Hi, you're seeing us right now.
Maybe that's a Patreon episode.
That could be a Patreon. But if you do want to listen with your ears and not your eyes, go to Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, hopefully soon Player FM, iHeartRadio, and Pandora, or anywhere else you get your podcast fix. Come on over to our Instagram at Weebology.podcast. We got memes, on news, and now giveaways. The individuals I mentioned at the beginning, Argyle Lynn, Ian 1 Fox with 2 X's, and Phenomenal 11799. You're our winners. You'll be receiving messages from us. Congratulations for winning. Use some of that ad-free anime goodness, baby. But Patbot's been doing a really good job with our Instagram. I have to say.
Good job, bro.
He got us to 500 followers. So happy 500.
Well,
Thanks y'all for following.
We might have done that.
Well, we did most of the way there. But in business, that last 2% is always a real hard get.
It's really not.
I mean, that's why I'm not an MBA school and you are. But if you want to give us a little love or tell us a show you want us to watch, hit us up on our Instagram DMs or weebologypodcast@gmail.com or our Twitter at weebologyp.
Yes. And please don't forget to give us a review on Apple.
You totally froze it.
iTunes. Holy shit.
Yes, but go give us a 5-star. It really helps us pop up in other people's recommendeds.
I think we got like 26 5-stars.
Ooh, that's a couple dozen, and that's 2 baker's dozens.
Yes, but I would definitely like some word reviews as well if you can.
Yes, that'd be great. And like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We got every so often want to go maybe someday go back to the extra credits. We have Anime in 5, and we have our regular vidcasts every Monday, wherever I'm not lazy or over encumbered with work to actually put them up. But honestly, I think that is it.
Patreon. Make sure you hit us up on Patreon and get some like sick stuff, dudes.
Yes, we'll be releasing for the patrons that are listening now. Next month, you'll be getting some sweet goodies in the mail from us.
Well, I don't know if it'll happen next month, but we will start the ball rolling.
No, we're getting the ball rolling on that. But
I really don't know how long it's going to take to do this stuff.
We'll figure it out. Like I said, we're kind of traversing new grounds here. But if you want to give us any kind of monetary love as well, if you can, and only if you can, patreon.com/Weebology. Thank you very much to Saint Eddie from Anime Compost, Rima Manny. What's the full name on that one? And Dad, Mr. Schaefer himself.
Pops.
Yeah, Pops. # do it for the dads. Hope I didn't miss anybody. I was doing that off memory.
I think that was it.
Okay, I'm into that. I think there was one more or something.
Oh, Mitch. Duh.
Mitch. Oh my God, Mitch. That guy is probably the most active in our Discord, which you can join if you get on the Patreon train. But shout out to Mitch. That boy is active, keeping the class alive in the Discord. But until next class, I'm Ricky.
And I'm Ethan.
And this has been Weebology.
Deuces, my dudes.
What animal would you turn into? I'd be a crocodile.
I was literally thinking crocodile. Probably because that video I sent y'all.
I think that's what it is, yeah.